Hello, everybody.
Hello.
We'll start in just a moment here. We'll let folks who are coming in get settled. Feel free to introduce yourself in the chat if you would like to. All right. Let's go ahead and get our introduction underway. Welcome, everybody. Again, thanks for joining us for the April and ILNet transition series calls. For those who need ASL, we do have an interpreter for today's call, Monica McGee. If you would like to make them bigger, go ahead and click the ... at the top right-hand corner of her box and pinner, and then change your view to speaker view to see nice and big. We also have captioning for today's call. You can use that by selecting your captioning from the toolbar. Oh, where'd the interpreter go? Oh, there she is. Okay, we do have closed captioning for today's call as well. You can find that by selecting the captioning from your toolbar. Again, just so folks know, we will record this call and have a transcript, and we'll send that out along with any resources that are shared in the chat to all those who have registered in a follow-up email. So for today's call, we are continuing to the discussion around transition. And today we're going to be discussing transition from incarceration. So as always, feel free to, electronically raise your hand, or if you find that there's a pause in the conversation, feel free to just jump right in. So would anybody bravely like to go first to talk about anything that your organization is doing around transition from incarceration, or for young folks who have had experience with the legal system? Yeah, I see. Is it Sheriff?
It's Sharif. You were close, but I'll take it.
Sharif, awesome. Please go ahead.
First of all, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Sharif Brown. I am the program manager for reentry with Alliance of Disability Advocates located in Raleigh, North Carolina. We are a center for independent living, and what that is we are a federally funded agency that specializes in giving free resources and services to individuals that have any disability. We do not require any medical documentation. You just have to self-identify that you have a disability, and then you're eligible for all of the five core services that we offer. One of the 5 core services is why I'm here, is called transitional services. So in 2017, I tested this model, which we coined as an individualized reentry plan, in Butner, North Carolina federal compound, which is 5 federal prisons in one. And essentially testing the model of this independent reentry plan, recognizing that most of the social workers in prisons are completely overloaded with a ridiculous, voluminous amount of individuals on their caseload. So most of the reentry services that are offered are more cookie cut, or trying to fit a square peg into a round hole situation, which doesn't necessarily meet the needs of every individual. So what I did is that I came up with this process in order to create an individualized reentry plan specifically based upon the resources and information that that participant was requesting prior to their release, regardless of whatever county that they were going to. From 2017 until COVID, which essentially stopped everything for everyone, I'm sure, we had assisted 298 individuals with this reentry program in Butner, and only had 2 individuals reoffend within the first 2 years. So the model was tested and proven that it worked. So we applied to get a grant from the North Carolina Commission on Developmental Disabilities, and they had a competitive grant to specifically transition individuals that have an IDD diagnosis out of state prisons. And we won that grant through them in 2020. It expires 2023 this year. And even with a rapid pandemic going on, to date, we were still able to help 172 people with their reentry. And right now we're operating at about an 89% success rate. So you figure between both state and federal, we probably assisted close to 500 individuals with an average success rate of about 93%, give or take. And the program has been so successful that the Department of Mental Health and Substance Abuse has decided to continue to fund the program because we were getting ready to have the grant expire. And this is a phenomenal program that offers pre and post release. We touch every facet of every kind of barrier you can possibly imagine, whether it's housing, benefits coordination, linking them to housing opportunities, as very few and far in between that they are. We're linking them to mental health services. We're linking them to substance abuse resources. We have a partnership with Duke University that offers a individualized GED training program for any individual that is looking to get their GED. If you are in our catchment area, which is Wake, Durham, Johnson, Franklin, and Orange County in North Carolina, then obviously this is something that we can offer in person on the individualized one-on-one. If someone is not comfortable with the one-on-one in person, or is outside of our catchment area and they have access to a computer and they know how to use Zoom, then we can link them to a one-on-one tutor that will continue to help them with their GED testing and prep until their test is ready. And then my agency then pays for their testing. So no money comes out of pocket for these justice involved individuals when it comes to them obtaining further education. And we continue to link individuals to any kind of resource that they're looking for. Obviously, it has to be something legal. We're not trying to link them to any kind of malicious activities, but we have helped individuals find housing. We've helped individuals start their own LLC companies. We link individuals to employment. And right now the program is very, very successful. So I'm very proud of the work that me and my team have been doing here in North Carolina. And I'm open to any questions that you guys might have for me.
Thank you so much for so much wonderful information. Does anybody have questions that they would like to ask? We see some electronic applause. We do have one question, Peggy.
So my question is about housing, because it's very difficult to find housing for people with disabilities without them having coming out of prison. So how are you handling that?
Well, obviously, housing is going to be a barrier, whether it's pre or post release for any individual that has a disability or is justice involved. So we have a list of private, independent owners of homes that are willing to rent to these individuals. Obviously, they have to have an employment and everything else already lined up prior to that, obviously. So, but we have a list of private landlords that are willing to do this. We are the referring agency into the targeted unit program. I don't know if people are familiar with what that is, but essentially what that is, it is a tax break initiative that is for landlords to where they specifically hold apartments for individuals that are receiving SSI or SSDI, which completely separates
Wow.
that from the Section 8 protocol, which anyone can apply as long as they have a financial difficulty. This situation, you have to have SSI and SSDI in order to go onto this targeted unit program. And the rent is usually 25% of whatever the SSI payments are, as long as that individual is receiving an SSI payment of over $300. So it can be $300.01, and then we can get them into the program. And the rent comes out prior to them even receiving their payment from SSI. So the rent is already paid before they get their check. If the utilities are included in the rent, then it is 30% of what they would of their check. If the utilities are not included, then it's 25% of their SSI payment that comes out for the rent. And we also have connections to transitional housing in Durham and other local counties that we are attached to. So we don't have all the answers for housing. I don't think anybody really does, but we have a couple of connections to independent landlords and agencies and other resources to where we can potentially get some individuals in.
Thank you. I think Eric also has a question.
Yeah. Hi, this is Eric Riskus. I'm the Independent Living Program Director at Midstate Independent Living Choices in Stevens Point, Wisconsin. Same as you, we're an independent living center. We have transition as one of those core services. I have two questions for you specifically around this. Your program sounds amazing, and I want to glean from it when I can. Number one is, how did you start building your relationships with the different correctional facilities that are in your area to start promoting your program? And two, when it comes to anyone who has any type of sexual offenses as part of their criminal background, what do you do to address that in helping finding housing? Just because we're a smaller community, we have 11 different counties that we serve, but it's a lot of rural areas, and housing is becoming, like all over the country, increasingly more and more difficult to find, whether it's affordable. And then because we serve people with disabilities, we have to add affordable and accessible on top of that too. So how are you addressing those issues?
Great question, Eric. First off, great beard, trying to get there. But first off, the first question, as far as the promoting goes, because there was a federal compound, like I said, Butner, that was about 30 minutes down the road from our agency. How we linked up with Butner was that they had an individual that was in there that was linked to a reentry specialist that was incarcerated for 20 years and never received a write-up or an infraction at all, ever, when he was in there. He received his HVAC certification, but the thing that we were pinpointing with him was he had received his wheelchair manufacturing certification. And as you know, Eric, in the Center of Independent Living field, once a consumer, or our term for client, has a broken wheelchair, you know how long that takes to get fixed and how expensive it becomes to get the wheelchairs repaired. So due to the fact that he had that certification, we were targeting him for employment. So I went in with the premise of only helping him alone with his individualized reentry plan. But as you can imagine, word in prison and jail spreads faster than the internet does. So everybody's asking him, who's this 6'6" guy coming to see you every Friday? And I went to see him every Friday for 16 straight months consecutively while we worked on his plan. So once people started asking who I was and I started telling them what I was doing, the interest went from 1 to 100 in 3 months. And it just snowballed from then. In the federal side, obviously in the state prisons, we have connections with, well, it was called DPS, now that they split and it's called adult corrections, but they have been a fantastic liaison with us and the 13 prisons on the state prisons that we're going into in order for us to be able to build that relationship. So I hope that kind of answered some of your questions. That's the first question. As far as the housing goes, when it comes to sexual offenders, that's probably the most difficult case to try to find housing for. And this is really, really important where these private landlords come into play, or even individuals that are private landlords that have somewhat of a justice involved background. come into play to where they might want to actually give somebody a second chance. Now, obviously, with certain restrictions with the sexual offense, there's going to be certain parameters, 200 feet from a school and everything else like that. So actually, we target the rural areas when it comes to housing for sexual offenders, because 9 times out of 10, they're not going to be anywhere close to a school or a park or a library or anything else like that. But it's still the needle in the haystack. So I don't have all the answers for trying to find housing for sexual offenders. I don't think there is one, but trying to look at the rural areas, those rural landlords, the way you're away from the general public, is probably going to be the best bet, because the only other resource is putting them under an overpass, because they can't even go into a homeless shelter with that offense. So I hope that kind of answered what you was asking about.
Sharif, thank you so much. I really appreciate you being so willing to share all of this amazing information. I think we have Tom. Tom, did you want to go?
Yes. Hey, Sharif. Good seeing you again.
Absolutely, Tom. How are you?
Pretty good. When you're transitioning and your SSI, SSDI, do you have it set up so it follows the person?
Absolutely. We have benefits coordination. So what we do for those individuals that are released and are either looking to regain or restart their SSI and have employment, but are trying to have that balance of how the seesaw works of paychecks between SSI checks. So we have certified benefits coordination the way we can help them with that. But because we're doing post-release, if they're in our catchment area, we always are going to continue to follow them and make sure that they're getting their post-release services and resources. The problem is when individuals are being released to counties that we do not have a reach to, that's when, the reoffending and the problems begin, because most areas don't have programs like we have here as far as the reentry program goes, or the supports that we have. So outside of our catchment area is where the problem goes, but we follow and continue to support all of our participants, because all of our programs are consumer controlled. So as long as they say we still need the help, we're going to continue to help them from birth until death. So yes, we're going to continue to follow them.
Thank you. I'm just one more question, and then I swear we're going to let you take a break.
I'm good. I'm okay.
I had one more question from the chat. They were wondering, how did you go about getting that list of private landlords?
Believe it or not, it's from doing community outreach, speaking at churches, speaking at community gatherings, about asking about what we need. And there have been landlords that have been just as involved, that have come to us with resources about housing, expressing how difficult it was for them with their transition. So now they're trying to pay it forward and want to help us with other individuals that are coming out. So that's how we obtained that list. It wasn't a Google search, because you're not going to Google search landlords that are willing to rent to sexual offenders. You're never going to find that on the internet. So it's about that grassroots boots work, that trying to turn over every single rock that you can and finding that one resource. That's how we were able to obtain the list of private landlords. And it's not long, it's probably 7 to 8 people. It's not a voluminous list whatsoever.
Awesome, thank you. All right, Cassidy, what do you have for us?
The quick question for Sharif. I'm just
Sure.
wondering how many people you have working under this program?
As far as workers go, I'll let you guess.
Well, how big is your cell?
Right now, we are at 25 workers.
I'm going to guess 3.
Jackpot. Myself as a program director and the 2 under me. So there's only 3 of us.
That is a lot of work for 3 people. Thank you. Thank y'all for doing it. I might reach out to you with more questions, because we're trying to get our foot in the door.
Sure. What I will do, I'll put my email in the chat. And anybody who wants to reach out to me about any kind of further information, presentations about what we're doing, I'm willing to speak to anybody about reentry at any time.
Thank you so much, Sharif. This was awesome.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. Awesome. I know, I was just thinking, we need to bottle up all that information and do mentorings or something. Well, does anybody else have any questions, or would you like to share what you're doing at your organization around transition? Yeah, Eric.
There we
Oh.
go. This is Eric Riskus again from Mid-State Independent Living Choices in Stevens Point. That's a really tough act to follow, but I want to still kind of share a little bit about what we do. Like I mentioned, so we just started building a relationship with the Portage County Correctionals Department and working with their case management team and their reentry team, specifically for people with disabilities that are going to be working their way back into the community. And so we do have a lot of those connections too to help out with housing resources. We have people on staff that can assist with assistive technology, whether it's doing assessments, home modification, assessments to make sure that that wherever they're going to be moving into is a safe and secure place. And we actually provide oversight to 3 mental health recovery centers in Stevens Point, Wisconsin Rapids, and Marshfield for people to come in and receive one-on-one support or in group support as well. The broader scope of what I want to talk about, though, is our independent living network as a whole. So the state of Wisconsin has 8 different independent living centers that provide coverage to every single county within the state. And we have a coalition that meets together regularly to talk about our programming, our advocacy, and things that we do. And part of this strong collaboration that we have as an entire network across the state of Wisconsin is the ability to work across county lines. So for instance, there's an independent living center in Madison, Wisconsin, Access to Independence. And we had someone that we were working with who is currently in the Portage County Detention Center that was going to be eventually moved over to the Madison area. So what we were able to do is have a partnership with them to say, hey, we're going to get them started. We're going to get some releases, confidentiality. I cannot words. This is hard. Releases of information signed so this way we can communicate with the other independent living center so that when they move out, the transition is hopefully seamless. And then we've done this with other independent living centers as well, where there's been someone who's being released, let's say out of Western Wisconsin at the Center of Independent Living or Western Wisconsin into Wausau, which is part of our service area. So they're working on the services that they need for reentry, but we're going to be helping them with finding the housing and the local resources that they need as well. So one of the things I strongly recommend too is really get to know your other independent living centers in your state, build those relationships, because working together, we've had really, really strong results throughout the entire state in all of our transitional services that we offer.
Thanks, Eric. Wow, that's really great to hear. Does anybody have any questions for Eric, or would anybody else like to share what you're doing in your network? Yeah, Jane, let's hear it.
Hi, everybody. Gosh, it's so exciting to hear what's going on in other states. And yeah, both of you have really inspiring programs. In Florida, we became opportunists when our state disability rights organization sued our state Department of Corrections. And they found that the career and technical education programs that were being offered were not accessible to inmates with disabilities. So we approached the folks at headquarters. I'm located in Tallahassee. I'm with the Florida Association of Centers for Independent Living. I represent all of the centers around the state, and we serve all of our counties. So I met with them and said, I think we can help you with this problem. You need to make things accessible. That's what our Centers for Independent Living specialize in. And so over the course of several months, we talked through some solutions, and what we wound up doing was developing a employment readiness training program that was designed by an occupational therapist, written so that it could be adaptable to 3 different learning levels, depending on a person's intellectual capacity. And it focused on helping someone with a disability who also has a criminal background process their story and then develop a resume, take some skills inventory testing and analysis to figure out what they're good at, what they want to do, and then also work them through kind of what they need to do to be able to be successful upon release. Florida statute currently requires that every inmate who's released from a Florida prison has to take what's called a 100-hour Compass training program. We were able to get our 100-hour program approved to qualify to meet that requirement. So for inmates with disabilities, where they were all having to take the same standardized, actually very outdated 100-hour program, now they can take our program. And so we piloted it in 3 different prisons the first year. And then this past year, our Centers for Independent Living went under contract, and the contract was, they were paid $2,500 per student per class. So, and the class sizes were about 10 people per class. And the training has been incredibly successful, and the feedback we've gotten has been really, that give me goosebumps. We had a cohort of younger students this past spring, 18 to 22-year-old, who were in what they call a special ed facility. And they, a lot of them had been involved with gangs. A lot of them had a lot of pent-up anger and trauma. And because the curriculum that we developed is trauma informed, it starts out by having the entire class tell their stories. And through that storytelling process, there was a lot of healing and a lot of acceptance. And all of the students remarked in the evaluations that they felt that they were in a safe space where they could actually come to terms with not just their criminal activity, but also their history, their personal history, their parents, their relationships with their brothers, some of the hurts they'd experienced. And it was really, really healing and cleansing. And, you know, in addition to all of that on the front end, on the back end, they learned a lot about managing their anger in a workplace, how to request an accommodation for a disability in the workplace in a way that doesn't make an employer uncomfortable, how to share your incarceration history and with an employer in a way that doesn't also make them ill at ease. So, so the 100-hour training was just really, it was beyond exciting to watch how it transformed these men. And I remember one guy who had been in prison for 20 years, and he's told me, he said, this is the first time I have felt hope in 20 years, because he was an amputee and really wanted to drive a truck, but no one ever thought to talk to him about, well, yeah, you can do that. And you know, what accommodations that he could request to be able to drive a truck. He wanted to kind of drive cross country. And so anyway, he has since been released and got his commercial driver's license. But the other piece of this that really helped make it successful was, prior to release, the inmates were allowed to do a video conference call with the Center for Independent Living in the county that they were returning to. And so they would do an initial call just to talk about, this is what's out here in the community. This is how we can help you. And then follow-up calls if they needed, so that compared to what was happening before, where they get $50 on a bus pass and say, you know, and be told, good luck to you. Now, not only were they provided with accessible training, because we provided sign language interpreters and magnifiers and whatever accommodations the students needed to be able to learn the material. But then upon release, prior to release and then upon release, they were also connected to a Center for Independent Living for the peer supports that they would need to be successful. And I will say that none of the inmates knew what a Center for Independent Living was before they started the class. In fact, no one in the prison system knew either. So we were making introductions, joining 2 very different worlds together to achieve a really, really important purpose in these men's lives. We've only done men so far. Our goal is to do a women's prison, hopefully in the next couple of months. But for some reason, the women's prisoners were not as receptive to this, because this is a voluntary course. They would advertise the opportunity, and then the inmates would sign up. We like to call them returning citizens, not inmates, but the students all had to have a release date within 12 months, so that we wouldn't be teaching this 3 years before they get released. So it would be relevant, it would be timely. And they finished the class with a resume, a cover letter, a list of references, and then a sample letter of how they would respond to a job advertisement. So anyway, so yeah, we're really excited about it. And Disability Rights Florida is very pleased with the state's response. So the state felt an obligation, I guess, to fund these programs, so the centers are getting compensated for the training. And I've been brought in a couple of times to the negotiations with Disability Rights Florida as the settlement from the lawsuit has been worked out, but they are using the class as the state is as an affirmative defense in their negotiations with Disability Rights Florida. So it was it's actually three partners. This wouldn't have happened if Disability Rights Florida hadn't shown a light on the problem. And then we just kind of opened the door and asked if we could come in, and they needed us. So we were happy to fill that gap. That's all I got.
Wow, thank you so much. I just have to say today's call reminds me why I IL. I think this has been so great to hear all of these stories. Would anybody else like to ask any questions for your peers or share what you're doing in your organization? Yeah, Cassidy.
Hey, this is Cassidy. I work at Disability Empowerment Center in King County, Washington, where Seattle is. This comes from my previous SIL experience. I've been lucky enough to work at a couple different SILs as I've moved across the country. But I was a youth transition coordinator, and we had a pre-ETS contract, which is pre-employment transition services through Department of Vocational Rehabilitation. And we were able to bring that into juvenile detention centers to provide the same services that their peers were getting. It was just a matter of getting in touch with the right person to get our foot in the door, but being able to provide the services alongside their peers was beneficial. It let them know that we were there as a resource upon their exit. A lot of them did fully loop into our services, and it was just a great way to get in touch with the community and make sure that they were receiving those skills.
Wonderful. Would you mind sharing a little more about maybe how you made those connections, how you were able to get in?
It was a lot of trial and error. We had to work to get connections, and I made a copy and paste email that I would tweak towards the person I was reaching out to. And finally, we snagged someone who said, yes, let me put you in touch with the right person. So it was just a lot of networking, a lot of time, and a lot of patience. But we were able to pull through, and now I think this is a SIL in South Carolina. I believe we started at 1 prison, now we are up to 3, and working on different programs like day programs to go in and get things done in one day versus over a course of 6 weeks, and really individualizing that curriculum to what suits their needs.
Great, thank you. Awesome, Lois. Great to have you. Please share what you guys have.
Thank you. I just have a question for Cassidy, because I've worked with VR in pre-ETS, and also I've worked with juveniles incarcerated. And I was wondering if you have any numbers or statistics on how that has helped decrease the youth that are being, has it helped for non-incarceration?
A really good question, Lois. I am not 100% sure. I left that SIL and transitioned to one in Washington State. So unfortunately, I did not keep in touch with that specific program to hear its progress. The SIL is Able, South Carolina. I do have someone I could get you in touch with to see if they have those numbers, but the main opportunity was equal access and making sure we're meeting every community and every population where they're at.
Absolutely, because if you can help decrease in the juvenile area, that will help decrease in the adult.
Exactly.
So I was just wondering if you had numbers on that.
Ooh, I wish I did. That would have sounded real good.
Thank you.
Lois, while you're there, do you want to share what you all are doing?
We are just starting up, trying to help the local adult population that are being close to being released. giving them some supports. So it's something that we just started recently working on because we don't want that recidivism. So with supports, that's helping them not to. Anyway, that's what we're working on. Thank
Awesome.
you.
Thank you. Wow, I can't believe how much information we've had. Would anybody else like to ask any questions for your peers or share what you all are doing in your area?
Hi, everybody. This is Laurel Kilpatrick from Everybody Counts in Hammond and Maryville, Indiana. Also from an organization called Saving Our Families in Gary, Indiana. And in that second organization, Saving Our Families, we've actually been working a great deal with young people who have all types of relationships to imprisonment in terms of juvenile facilities themselves, or having one, maybe two parents who are either currently behind the wall or have been, in trying really hard to keep that relationship, that active communication with people. So I was very, very happy to hear about this call, as we're always trying to figure out what other folks are doing to get ideas about how to keep these young folks involved, how to keep them in communication with parents or other family members that are behind the wall. And then two or three, how to make plans for people returning to this side of the wall, to returning to communities, returning to places to seek jobs, to continue their education and things like that. So just wanted to say I really appreciate this conversation, and am looking forward to continuing to have it, to find out what's happening and what other folks are doing and how we can work together, hopefully. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing that. It's always good to hear. Yeah, Jane, did you have another thought?
I did. Laurel, thank you for your comments. And I wanted to follow up on what you said. Separate from the work that we're doing with our State Department of Corrections, I participated in some work with our Agency for Juvenile Justice. And what we did a countywide or a circuit-wide sort of deep dive on why the racial and ethnic disparities in juvenile justice involvement among youth. And we found that youth with disability, and a lot of the different inequities, and we found that youth with disabilities were disproportionately represented in juvenile justice activity. And then when we looked even further and we interviewed families at the local level, we found out that a lot of parents of kids with disabilities who didn't have a good experience in school themselves didn't feel comfortable advocating on their behalf at an IEP meeting, or for them to get the services and the supports that they needed. And so they didn't do well as well in school as they could have had they had the supports of their peers who had parents who felt more comfortable, who understood the jargon, who could hire attorneys. And so we saw the disproportionate representation among certain youth with disabilities. And then what they found is that those same youth were then also disproportionately given a sentence in a juvenile justice facility as opposed to a civil citation, because their parents didn't show up in court with them either. And it was kind of the same stigma that the parents were feeling, that either they themselves had some kind of experience with criminal justice, and the court, they were afraid to go to court or didn't feel comfortable advocating or defending their child in court for the same reasons they didn't feel comfortable going to school and with teachers and people who seemed like they knew a lot more than they did about their child, and they weren't comfortable with a stigma associated with saying that their child had a disability. So we developed a peer network of parents with kids with disabilities to help mentor and coach the parents of the parents who were not comfortable, and they would attend the IEP meetings together, and they would go to court together. And so it was a peer-based prevention model, understanding that sometimes the reasons that you see youth with disabilities kind of move from where that, from starting to struggle in school to getting involved with criminal justice is because they don't get the advocacy or the intervention that other students might get. And we saw it started with truancy. That was the first signal that something was not right with, something was going wrong, because the kids were losing interest, that school was very difficult for them. They felt marginalized or judged because they weren't doing well, but they didn't have the IEP supports that they were entitled to. So instead of, so they dropped out, or they got involved with things that they shouldn't have gotten involved in, which became a criminal justice issue. So anyway, it was really fascinating. But I think, working, and I forget who, I think it was Cassidy talked about the pre-ETS services. That is such an important touch point to prevent adults from eventual incarceration, if we can recognize some of the non-obvious barriers to youth with disabilities that can lead to criminal justice involvement, and helping their parents or their family members be advocates, or helping advocate on their behalf, because IEP meetings are really intimidating. The vocabulary is really dense, and no one teaches you that until you have a child who needs it. So anyway, that was just something that we learned, in addition to working directly with the affected youth or affected adult, working with the people in their lives who would normally serve in an advocacy role, to make sure that they are comfortable and feel that they have agency at those advocacy opportunities.
Thank you so much for this conversation. I think that is such a great point, and I love the idea of that parent support as well. So you're hitting it from both angles. Yeah, go ahead. Laurel, thank you.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Oh, no, no, sorry, necessary. Yeah, no, that sounds amazing. I actually work with Black Lives Matter, Northwest Indiana, Gary, and we do a whole lot of volunteer work with a whole lot of parents and a whole lot of high school students in the same area of parents throughout their lives. Their children are going to the same schools they went to, where they were not serviced. They were not treated fairly. They have all types of issues with I've worked with parents that can't walk into the school. So they're not they're not, as much as they want to, they are not able to advocate for their children in these issues. And even when their kids are having basic kid stuff, I've been kicked out of more than one class in my elementary school time. But the basic things that we think are basic, they can't do because of the trauma they had in these schools. Without any type of incarceration or anything like that, they just can't do it. And so, we came together in our areas in Northwest Indiana. All of these cities are right next to each other. East Chicago, Gary, Hammond, Maryville, all right next to each other. I'm sorry, I'm talking fast because I got excited all of a sudden. I'm sorry. But yes, we did the exact same thing in terms of supporting these parents for these kids, having somebody there for them, somebody there representing the parents, somebody there representing the children. It was just excellent what you were saying. I very much appreciate all the work that you're doing, Jane. That's amazing. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, and that trauma piece is so real, and we overlook it because sometimes when we focus on disability, we forget about trauma. And when the two of them work together, it can be really, it can really take someone down the wrong path. But just having someone, another parent just like them, be at their side can be so healing for that parent, so empowering. And at the end of the day, the youth get what they are entitled to.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you for sharing.
Yes, thank you both. I'm gonna take a little pause and give Monica a break. Does anybody else have anything that they want to share that your organization is doing, or questions for our peers? I feel like we have so many experts on this call. I'm feeling very fortunate that you've all decided to join us today. Thank you.
I have a question if you don't mind.
Yeah, Clyde, go ahead.
Yes, if it's possible, I'd like to maybe get email addresses and what you do. The last I saw on the calendar, there's like 49 of us that are attending. So I'm thinking that the time that we're here spending will not touch upon all the things that each of us do in our daily lives. And I'm thinking I'm gonna miss something that's important because maybe someone's too shy to speak up, or they, after Mr. Brown's introduction, and maybe a little people are shying off from saying anything. But I think it's very important that we can have that connection of what you do in your area and how you face your challenges, whether your successes or your struggles. I think it will be very beneficial to us all if we had that kind of things. Like I'm hearing questions of how do you get housing for an individual? I am just newly in my position. I am actually the jail transition coordinator here in Jefferson County, Northern New York. The big city we're in here is Watertown. A lot of times people wonder where that is. Because of Syracuse basketball, we're just north of Syracuse by 72 miles. Just to give you an idea where we are, and we're just off the Great Lakes. So we do have lake effect snow. Right now, just to give you an idea what I'm doing, because I'm on a line, I'm currently just teaching anger management in the jail. Our jail has been not allowing anyone in since COVID. So our reentry into the jail has been slow and kind of sluggish. So right now they're only allowing our agency to come into the jail once a week. And so far, the only thing I can teach is anger management, but I often talk to inmates about transitioning back into society. A lot of times people are young men are locked up in jail and they're not from this Northern New York area. I've talked to gentlemen who are from Boston. I've talked to a few who are from Illinois, some from Virginia. So they're wondering how they can transition back into our community. But I'll have to let them know that, like our gentleman from Wisconsin, we are a very rural area. So it's very difficult to get transportation outside the city. You could want to relocate a farming community, but getting back into the city to connect with your providers is a very difficult thing. And sometimes that causes them to be in violation because they're not meeting their appointments. So I try to let them know that. And with the anger management, I always start off by telling them that I'm not interested in what they're in there for. They've already decided that wasn't my decision, and probably they didn't agree with the decision themselves. I said that's not important, so I don't ever ask them why are they there. The other thing that I tell them when I'm teaching them anger management is that I'm not Santa Claus. I'm not here to figure out who's naughty or nice. I'm just here to try to help them. And if possible, if there's anything that I teach them in the anger management that they find beneficial, I said that is good. But my ultimate goal is to help them never to return there. So I think I said my piece, but if it's possible, get a list of emails and what you do, I would appreciate it. Thank you.
Clyde, thank you so much for joining our calls. I think that's, I love hearing what everybody is doing. I think one thing, if people would like to share what they're doing and their email to be sent out in the follow-up resources, I'm happy to do that. If anybody wants to, I will put my email in the chat as well. If anybody wants to send me what they're doing around transition or questions they have, we can add that as well. We also have a conversation going on in the chat about rural. I think we have some folks who are wondering, are there any other CILs that are consider themselves rural or have a small CIL that are providing any services, sorry, that they would like to share about? Yeah, Lois.
Yes, good morning again. We cover 13 counties in Oregon, and all 13 counties are very rural. I mean, you can drive for an hour and not see anything. So it's pretty rural here. But we've been growing the last year. We went from, when I first started with EOCIL, I think there were about 5 staff. And now we have, I think, around 32. So, and we're getting offices set up and established in different areas. So we're trying to cover that vast area of rural counties. But I don't think that, we used to be small. I think we're growing though.
Thank you for sharing that.
Thank you.
I also see some folks in the chat answering as well, that they consider themselves pretty small and just doing what they can. I know that in the rural areas, people have to wear many hats. All right, I think we have time. Yeah, go ahead, Jane.
Hi, yeah, this is Jane Johnson again. I just want to say that what we found in Florida is that most of our prisons are in rural areas. And so our smaller CILs in the rural areas were able to participate in the training program. And it just takes one instructor. So you don't have to have a huge staff. You just have to be able to get your foot in the door with the State Department of Corrections, who I would probably bet everything in my wallet today that your state is probably not complying with the ADA or a lot of other disability laws when it comes to delivering educational services to people in your prisons. So if you want to go that route to try to deliver accessible training, the rural areas are a place where I think, because they become places for employment in rural areas. So a lot of state legislatures approve their, building those facilities in the less populated counties. And it, like I said, it only takes one instructor and an ASL, a couple of ASL interpreters if you need that for the class.
Sorry. Wow, Jane, thank you for that tip. I think that's a really great idea. Going in and talking about how you can help them, be compliant. I think we have time for just a couple more comments. I see my colleague Sierra's asking, I think this is a great way to end the call. Does anybody have suggestions on trainings or where to pull ideas for curriculum from for a center that might be interested in starting a program like this?
I guess what I would say, if anybody was interested in starting any kind of a program when it comes to reentry, the first thing you're going to have to do is try to see if there is a local reentry council or commission in that county. It's best to get with them first, because sometimes a lot of the LRCs will have resources already incorporated and intertwined within themselves that you might just be able to just essentially just grab resources and start running with your program. I would say visit the prisons or the web jails. First decide on which way you want to go, whether you want to do adults or whether you want to do juveniles, because you can't have a foot in both. It's just too many people to serve, and you're going to get completely overwhelmed and burnt out. And the dynamics of working with a juvenile and working with an adult are not going to be the same, especially when disabilities are involved. So decide which path you want to go, and then link with the LRC that's in that area or in that county per se. I would say try to see what state funding is available for reentry when it comes to grants, because a lot of times grants come up that people don't even know about and they just go away, and that's money left on the table. So do your research to find out what grants are accessible that fit your methodology of whatever kind of program you're trying to run, and then go for the grant. And then obviously start doing your promotion, because if you don't have clients to serve, your program is going to fall flat on its face. So this is some of the things that off the top of my head that I'm thinking about as far as trying to start your own program.
Thank you for that. Cassidy, do you have a comment?
Yeah, this is addressing the curriculum question. When we went into institutions, we used the Healthy Community Livings program, which is essentially, it helps us provide our core services. It's all based on establishing a goal, how to reach that goal, how to find resources. So it's a great starting point with a 10-week built-in, already created, plain language curriculum. I can't say enough good things about it. It does cost $500 per person for training, but once you have that, you have the curriculum for life and you can share it with whoever. It's something we've seen be really successful and a great tool for our staff in and outside of institutions.
Awesome. I was going to say, actually, I think Mary dropped in the chat before I could, but the curriculum is now online, available for everyone. So we will send it up with the follow-up resources so that everybody can have access to that as well.
Very cool.
Yeah. And then Eric also dropped into the chat, also research grants with unrestricted funds that can help with overhead or programming. Thank you for those. Oh, and Mary dropped it into the chat. So if you need today.
Drop the living well in there. And then there's another one as well called community living skills. I just wanted to throw out there that foundation grants. This is, I think, a topic that a lot of foundations are interested in funding. So I'll let Sierra finish it out because my baby keeps talking over me. I'm sorry.
No worries. Thank you all. This was so great. I did just want to point out, so next month we will be doing another transition series, and it's going to kind of roll into what we're talking about here. We're going to be talking about youth transition. And so if you have other things that you would like to bring or some of these conversations, I know there's a lot of youth coordinators out there that are trying to learn how to get into some of these programs and alternative schools and all sorts of different places like that. So feel free to join us next month for that on the fourth Thursday. We will be sending a follow-up email with the recording, the chat, and all of the great resources you all have dropped into here. We do thank everybody for joining us. We will send an evaluation link as well, if you would just take a moment to complete that. And yes, and if you have your contact information that you want us to share out with everybody, so that way y'all can start conversating and talking more and connecting more, feel free to go ahead and drop that into the chat as well. But we thank you all for coming. Thank you for sharing everything that you are doing. There's just so much great work on this, and it's so exciting to see that this has really been expanding since even the last time we've heard some conversations around this. So thank you for all of the great information and all of the great work that you're doing. We know it's a lot, and we hope that we can continue on and grow some of these programs in new centers. So thank you all, and we will see you next month.